The night was darker than usual, the kind of darkness that feels heavier when hope is thin. Rain had been pouring for hours, drumming on the rooftops and collecting in the cracks of an empty parking lot. The streetlights flickered weakly, casting dull halos on the puddles below. In front of a small, closed convenience store sat a woman, her clothes soaked, clutching a tiny baby wrapped in a thin pink blanket. Her name was Emily, and at that moment, she felt more alone than she ever had in her life. Her lips trembled from the cold, her hands shaking as she tried to keep her baby warm against her chest. The store had closed hours ago, but it was the only place with an awning she could find to shield herself and her child from the storm. She had nowhere else to go. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Just a week ago, Emily had believed her life might finally start to settle down. She had escaped an abusive marriage, found a small room for rent, and planned to start working at a bakery. But the world has a way of testing those who already feel broken. Her landlord demanded rent she didn't yet have, and when she couldn't pay, he told her to leave. She packed her things in 2 small bags, took her baby, and walked out without looking back. She thought she could find help, maybe at a shelter, maybe at the bakery. But the bakery was closed for renovations, and every shelter she called said the same thing. We're full. Now she sat outside this store, exhausted, hungry, and desperate. Her baby whimpered softly, too tired to cry. Emily whispered, "It's okay, Lily. Mommy's here," though even she didn't believe her own words. Tears mingled with the rain on her cheeks. She looked up at the sky, whispering a prayer. Please, just a little help. Miles down the road, Daniel was driving his old blue pickup truck home from a late shift. He was a single dad. Had been for 3 years since his wife passed away in a car accident. Raising his 8-year-old son, Noah, alone hadn't been easy. But Daniel had learned to live one day at a time. That night, his eyes were tired and his heart heavy from another long day. But as he drove past the closed store, something caught his attention. A figure sitting under the awning. At first, he thought it was just trash bags or someone waiting for a ride. But then, lightning illuminated the scene, and he saw her, a woman holding a baby, soaked to the bone. Something inside him told him to stop. He hesitated for a moment. People don't usually stop for strangers at night, but the look on her face haunted him. It wasn't just sadness, it was pure exhaustion, the kind that comes when someone has been fighting too long. He slowed down, turned his truck around, and pulled up near the store. Emily's heart raced when she saw headlights stop nearby. Fear surged through her. What if it was trouble? She instinctively held Lily tighter. But when Daniel stepped out, his face wasn't threatening. He looked concerned, like someone seeing a storm for the first time and wanting to help. Mom, are you okay? He called over the rain. Emily hesitated, unsure if she should respond. We're fine, she said softly, though her voice shook. Daniel took a careful step closer. It doesn't look fine, he said gently. You've got a baby in this weather. Do you need a ride somewhere? She shook her head, not wanting to appear weak. No, I just need a place to wait. We'll be okay. Daniel looked around. There was no one else, no shelter nearby, no open store. You can't stay out here, he said firmly, but kindly. It's freezing and your little one. His eyes softened as he looked at the baby. She deserves to be warm. Emily's lips trembled. I don't have anywhere to go. The words escaped her before she could stop them. Daniel nodded slowly. All right, he said, as if deciding something. Look, I live not far from here. I've got a spare room and my son's asleep by now. You both can stay the night, just to get dry and warm, no strings attached. She looked at him suspiciously, her motherly instinct flaring. Why would you do that? You don't even know me, he sighed. Because once, someone stopped for me when I didn't deserve it, and it changed my life. Something in his tone, calm, honest, tired, broke through her walls. She looked at Lily, whose small fingers clutched her jacket, then back at Daniel. Finally, she nodded. He helped her into the truck, turned up the heater, and handed her a towel from the back seat. Here, dry off a bit. I'll drive slow. As they drove through the quiet streets, Emily felt the warmth creeping back into her fingers. Lily had fallen asleep, her tiny breaths rhythmic and peaceful. For the first time in days, Emily felt a spark of relief. She glanced at Daniel, who focused on the road, his jaw tense but kind eyes visible even in the dim light. When they reached his house, a modest, cozy place with a flickering porch light, He led her inside and showed her the guest room. "You can rest here. There are clean towels in the bathroom and extra blankets in the closet." Emily whispered a thank you, her voice barely audible. Later that night, as she lay in the warm bed, Lily cradled beside her, Emily stared at the ceiling and let silent tears fall. She didn't know this man, yet he had done more for her in 1 hour than anyone had in months. She whispered another prayer, this time one of gratitude. The next morning, the smell of coffee and pancakes filled the air. Daniel was in the kitchen, flipping pancakes while his son, Noah, set the table. When Emily walked in, shyly holding Lily, Noah smiled brightly. "Hi, is that your baby? She's cute." Emily couldn't help but smile back. "Yes, this is Lily." Daniel handed her a cup of coffee. "Morning. I hope you slept well." "I did," she said softly. "Thank you." "Really? I don't know how to repay you." "You don't have to," he replied. "Just eat something. You both need it." Over breakfast, Emily shared bits of her story, not all, but enough for Daniel to understand her struggle. He didn't judge. He listened, nodding quietly, occasionally glancing at Lily with fatherly warmth. By the time afternoon came, the rain had stopped, replaced by a golden sun filtering through the kitchen window. Emily stood near the door, ready to leave. "I should go," she said, though her heart felt heavy. Daniel frowned. "Where will you go?" "I'll figure something out," she said with forced confidence. He paused, then said, "You know my boss at the construction site mentioned his wife's looking for someone to help with her home bakery." "You can bake," her eyes widened. "Yes. I used to work in a bakery before, but then maybe you should talk to her," Daniel said with a small smile. "It's not much, but it's a start. You can stay here until you're back on your feet." Tears filled Emily's eyes again, this time not from despair, but hope. "You don't even know me," she repeated softly. He smiled gently. "Sometimes you don't need to know someone to help them. Sometimes you just need to care." Weeks passed, and Emily began working with Daniel's friend's wife, baking bread and cakes while caring for Lily. The house that once felt like a stranger's soon became a home filled with laughter. Noah adored Lily, and Daniel found himself looking forward to coming home every evening to the sound of their giggles. Emily often thought back to that rainy night, the night a single dad stopped his truck. She realized that sometimes miracles don't come with lightning or angels. Sometimes they come in the form of a tired man who chooses to care, even when he doesn't have to. And as she tucked Lily into bed one evening, she whispered, "We're safe now, baby, because someone chose kindness." Daniel overheard her and smiled quietly from the doorway. "You both saved me too," he said softly, "because sometimes helping someone else is what truly heals our own broken hearts." So if this story touched your heart, if you believe that kindness still exists in the quiet corners of this world, remember to subscribe and join our community of stories that restore faith in humanity. Every click helps us share more hope, one story at a time.